Good morning, welcome to Headline Focus, here live on Core Politics with me, Rob Double. It is the end of the week, Friday the 5th of October 2018. Let's have a look at what's making the news to go into the weekend. And to start off with, back into Brexit, and Donald Tusk, the European Council President, has made some headlines, piling on pressure on Theresa May over her Chequers Brexit plan, and almost in an odd way, having an alliance with more hardline Brexiteers, those Brexiteers who are pushing for a more free trade deal rather than anything to do with the Chequers agreement and close relationship which Theresa May is pushing for. Now let's look at what he actually has been saying. He offered a Canada-style trade deal, tweeting that from the very beginning the EU offer has been a Canada plus deal, and told Theresa May that this is the true measure of respect. Now, when the plus thing in terms of the Canada trade deal, this means that it's going to be more than what has been offered and has been signed by the EU and Canada in terms of this trade arrangement that they have. It's going to have extremely close relations, as Donald Tusk said, in security, foreign policy, and also other areas as well. So really going for a special partnership and a special relationship on the basis of a free trade deal. But he also, though, on the sort of a caveat to that, demanded that Theresa May and the Prime Minister's government get down to business and solve the Irish border issue to seal a Brexit deal. So obviously this approach by Donald Tusk to say, look, this is a deal where we are prepared to offer something along the lines of Canada plus, something even better than Canada. But the Irish backstop issue, the issue to do with the Irish border, has to be resolved, and that has to be a UK government-led effort alongside the EU. Now, that's important because the Canada trade deal as a sort of mechanism cannot solve border issues. What it can do is encourage advanced electronics and checking custom clearances electronically. That can work, but it doesn't actually solve the issue of what happens at a border in terms of clearing customs and stuff like that. The Canada-style agreement is a free trade deal. It's not a customs union. It's not a single market, and so there has to be that kind of border between any geographical externalities with the EU. Now, in terms of a Brexit reaction and why I said it's almost like an alliance, Donald Tusk, with those who are more on the hardline Brexiteer stance, is that they're very happy with this because it's an opportunity for them to reinforce the argument, to chuck Chequers, which has been such a key tagline, particularly in the Conservative Party, amongst Conservative Party MPs, towards the Prime Minister's Chequers plan. Now, if we have a look at the reactions being reported on today, Nigel Farage saying May should bite his hand off in terms of this deal. Jacob Rees-Mogg, leader of the European Research Group, key prominent Eurosceptic, particularly amongst the Conservative membership, says it's a good solution for everyone. Even David Davis, former Brexit Secretary, saying this shows that the number 10 claim that there is no alternative to Chequers is just wrong. Boris Johnson, former Foreign Secretary, saying a superb way forward. Now, just talking about the Irish backstop very quickly, Theresa May rejects the idea that Northern Ireland will have any kind of, be inside the EU rules in any way and have a different relationship with the rest of the UK mainland. There's going to be no border in the Irish Sea in terms of what's happening in Northern Ireland versus what's happening in the rest of the UK. But there's a report coming through today in the Times that the DUP might be more flexible towards a plan keeping the whole of the UK inside a customs union with the EU and accepting that Northern Ireland will have some slight nuanced differences in terms of regulatory regime to get over the possible border checks that will happen between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. That's just reports, though, but that could be quite interesting in terms of where that might go and a possible compromise that Theresa May could have. That will, of course, though, infuriate Brexiteers because it's the whole idea of staying inside a customs union isn't the kind of Brexit that people voted for in the terms of Jacob Rees-Mogg, David Davis and Boris Johnson, those key influential figures in the Conservative Party. Michel Barnier is visiting senior figures in Northern Ireland's nationalist and cross-community parties today. And Liam Fox is also, in a slight positive news for the Prime Minister, said he's going to be backing the Prime Minister and the Chequers plan, basically doing a Michael Gove, the Environment Secretary, in saying that, you know what, it's not a perfect Brexit deal. Chequers is not the Brexit that perhaps I envisaged, but, it can be improved at a later date and renegotiated at a later date. Something, obviously, his former colleague Boris Johnson, former Foreign Secretary, said is not the case. You cannot negotiate it at a later time. Next up, though, looking at another story which is completely plastering the front pages today of pretty much all the national papers, it is what's going on between Western powers and Russia, in particular Russian intelligence services. Now, the West, or a large number of Western countries, have accused Russia over a number of cyberplots across the world, including, and I'll go through these, the BBC in particular reported on this pretty well. In the Netherlands, Netherlands have accused 4 Russians of plotting to hack the Organisation for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, who'd been doing tests and probing the chemical attack on the Russian ex-spy in the UK in regards to what happened in Salisbury, and this was thwarted with the help of UK officials. So that was a key one yesterday. You probably saw that in the papers. The Netherlands government doing a press conference about them thwarting this as it was happening, with these 4 Russian, what they say, accusing these 4 Russian individuals of being part of the some kind of spy network and trying to hack the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons Organisation. Next up, the UK has accused Russia's military intelligence services, called the GRU, of being behind 4 high-profile cyber attacks, including firms in Russia and Ukraine, US Democratic Party, and a small TV network in the UK as well. The US is saying its anti-doping agency, football's governing body FIFA, and the US nuclear agency company Westinghouse were targeted by Russian intelligence. And then Canada has said it has with high confidence that breaches at its Centre for Ethics in Sports and the Montreal-based World Anti-Doping Agency were carried out by Russian intelligence. And now Russia has earlier dismissed the allegations as a Western spy mania. But this will do nothing in terms of diplomatic relations between the West and Russia, but also in terms of each individual domestic country with Russia as well. This will no doubt be something which will play out over the next few days, so very much keep an eye on. One more story then coming from pure politics. The Theresa May Prime Minister gave her conference speech on Wednesday. One of the key lines coming from it, apart from the fact that she came on dancing to ABBA's Dancing Queen, which pretty much caught the imagination of everyone at the time, was this tag of end of austerity. Now, she pledged to end austerity in her conference speech. That would cost, according to the IFS, an extra £20 billion that would be needed by 2022 to meet the pledge of ending austerity. Now, she made a similar pledge in the wake of last year's snap election, 2017 snap election, so there's been some scepticism about what she actually means here. But if we just quote something she said, after a decade after the financial crisis, people need to know that the austerity it led to is over and that their hard work has paid off. Now, Asa refused to define what she meant in terms of promising public spending would increase. So there's still a little bit of what is the detail of what she's being promising here. But at the same time, 20 billion is a huge figure to be able to find by 2022. Many in a party say, well, look, if you can't find it anywhere else in government, you're going to have to either raise taxes or something similar, put more burden on people to pay for the state to offer more things. And for many Conservatives, that will be something unpalatable and dangerously close to drifting near a Jeremy Corbyn-esque agenda of ending austerity and pushing for more public spending. The dynamics of the Conservative Party, again, playing out big time for Theresa May at the moment. That's pretty much it for today, and indeed this week. You're up to date. Don't forget you can find all the latest on what we're doing here on Core Politics on our Facebook page and Twitter right here. I'll be back again on Monday, but sometime between 9 and 10 in the morning, bringing you all the latest what's going on to start the week. See you then.